Spoiler warning, my weeaboos. Subscribe, like, share, rate, comment, all the things that you YouTube people do. Yeah. Also, let me know if you'd smash up past me. DMs are open. Hit me up, yeah.
So, I just watched KAIBA, this anime that literally no one's heard of, and I didn't really understand what was going on whatsoever. I didn't understand the ending, I didn't understand what was going on in the middle, and I didn't understand the beginning. The beginning is really weird, and the ending is really weird. I searched up videos on KAIBA, no one knows what's going on, like no one can understand it. So I thought I'd just give my take on it and what I think is actually going on in the story. It's really strange. A lot of it doesn't really make sense because there's just parts in it which it doesn't tie with the story at all, but they make a huge deal out of it, but then never talk about it again. It really confuses me. I'm really not sure what this anime is even about. Here's the story. So it starts off with KAIBA, our main character, also Warp, also I think Chronico, because the middle of KAIBA is all these basically short stories of a character called Chronico just exploring the world, showing how depressing it is. Like, it's like really showing what the world of KAIBA is like, and it has some really dark concepts with a lot of deaths, a lot of just like dodgy stuff, like going into like sex related stuff, like illegal like trafficking, or it's really weird. There's also these like rich people that can sell bodies and like can get new bodies and transfer their memories to different bodies, and they can choose what they want to remember, if it's good, bad, whatever. They literally choose their memories. It's really weird. I think I've said weird about 100 times already. The middle of it, we're with this character called Chronico, and then we're getting towards the end, and then I think Chronico turns out to be KAIBA, which we kind of already knew from the beginning, but it wasn't really too clear. Basically, at the beginning, we see KAIBA, and it looks like they go into Chronico's body, but then towards the end of the anime, Chronico goes into KAIBA's body, or Warp's body, and it turns into the beginning, when in the beginning we saw KAIBA turn into Chronico, but at the end we see Chronico turn into KAIBA, like Chronico came first, but technically KAIBA came first, because it kind of ends where it started. So, it's not even a time travel thing though. There's no time travel involved. They never mention it, unless it just happened. They just didn't talk about it. But it's literally like they time traveled, kind of. I don't know, because it's 100%, all these short stories in the middle, it's 100% leading to the beginning of the anime, because KAIBA wakes up, no memories. We see KAIBA lose his memories. KAIBA wakes up, he has this heart little dangly thing with a picture of his girlfriend in it, and he has that at the beginning, and we see that picture being taken when he has it at the beginning of the anime. But it never makes a big thing about him going back to before he was KAIBA, to when he was Chronico. And then his girlfriend, right? His girlfriend has these memories trapped in this weird, like, you'll see on screen, this weird like alien thing. But the alien was with Chronico the entire time of the anime. But it turns out that he was only a thing to hold the girl's memory. I'm going off the top of my head, by the way. I've only watched this once, and oh my god, it's crazy. So yeah, you have all that, and then there's loads of characters which die, come back. You can't tell if they're dead, you can't tell if they're alive. You really don't know what is going on. And then they bring in the idea of whoever is the true Warp, or KAIBA, is the king, because they have the power. And then there's thousands and maybe even millions of these fake KAIBAs and fake Warps, or whatever you want to call it. And in the end, they bring in this fake Warp, which... Right, so there was a fake Warp, and he was the king for basically the entire anime until he was killed. And it turns out he wasn't a real Warp. And then there's another fake Warp, which kind of takes it kind of becomes the king after the true KAIBA falls down and loses his memories. So it makes me think that fake KAIBA is the KAIBA we see all through the anime, even though he gets introduced in the last bit of the anime, if that makes any sense whatsoever. Then there's also this character, I don't remember his name, but basically he wanted to be king, and the way he becomes king, he needs to kill Warp, and eventually he kills the fake Warp, classes himself as the king, and then he tries to kill the real Warp, which is KAIBA. And also KAIBA is named after this huge planet, plant going through space, trying to eat basically Earth. It's basically Earth, but it's like really futuristic and stuff. It's gonna eat that, and it's gonna eat all the memories in it. So basically everyone's dead. Like, if something eats your memories, that's like eating your soul, like you're dead. And then the guy who wanted to be king the entire time wants the plant to eat them. So then he's overthrown by a bunch of fake Warps and KAIBAs, which then they betray the guy they were working with from the start, apparently, even though he was only in like 2 episodes. Like, he's like the weird rich guy who has crap tons of KAIBAs, just like he collects them basically. But what doesn't make sense, we see him get his head blown the fuck off, but then he's alive, and then he gets his head blown the fuck off again. It doesn't make sense. So then, in the final battle, when there's this bunch of Warps and KAIBAs, you can't actually tell who the real KAIBA is. And I'm still not 100% sure if the main character was the real KAIBA, because it looked like another KAIBA had powers, and they were kind of making it out like KAIBA was the villain all along. But then, one of the KAIBAs end up destroying the plant. I can't tell which one the KAIBA is. It makes no sense. Now let me do like a little summary of it. It's going to take like 30 seconds. So what I'm guessing is, it starts off Chronico going through. Starts off, they find the true KAIBA. He becomes the king. He meets his girlfriend. They fall below the cloud because they're above the cloud. They're the rich above the cloud, but they fall below the cloud. Because he falls below the cloud, he saves the girl, but he basically sacrifices himself by sacrificing all his memories. His memories are wiped. All he has is this little picture of the girl that he saved. Then he's going through this huge world, and then they finally figure out, they finally like find him. Then he is changed into a load of different bodies, going through this huge story of just many stories of death and just loads of fucked shit basically. And then in the end he gets his body back, which doesn't make sense. It never shows exactly how he gets his body back, and I am still not 100% sure when the Chronico stories are even set. Like, is it the beginning? Is it the middle? Is it after everything that happened? Because the plant, KAIBA, is a tiny little plant in the Chronico stories. At the end, it is a big motherfucker. But this doesn't make sense, because he destroyed that, even though he still has the picture of the girl in the little thing. So it has to be before. But that wouldn't make sense, because the ending is the beginning, but the beginning leads into the Chronico stories. But the Chronico stories have to be before the beginning, because it doesn't. What? This is just going to be thrown in here out of nowhere. You can't talk about KAIBA without talking about the art style. That's what drew me in the beginning. The art style is, ooh! I would love to see more anime like that, and I'm pretty sure there are more anime out there like that, so I'll definitely watch them. And also the music there's barely any tracks. They reuse quite a lot of them, but they work so well with the anime, bro. They're so sad and just like, it fits with the world. The world is literally falling apart. It's basically a mess. It's basically hell. So overall on my anime list, I gave it an 8 out of 10. The reason it didn't make 9 or 10 was because the last episodes really fall flat, and I was beginning to notice a story coming together until the last like 2 episodes when basically it all just went to shit. 8 out of 10. Okay. And also, if you're wondering how I discovered this anime, yes, it was by watching PewDiePie, because no one has heard of this motherfucking anime, okay? No one has heard of it, alright?